Hi hand readers. In this video I'm going to share with you about the 5 elements of chirology. Not specifically the elements, but the elements that go into being a hand reader. What is your work as a hand reader and which area of your work is governed by which element? If you don't know me, I'm Jennifer. I'm based in Johannesburg. I've been reading hands, teaching about palmistry and chirology for many years. And today, by the end of this, you will really have a good overview of pretty much what there is to learn. In a previous video, I spoke to you about the components of hand reading. Briefly to recap, we're talking about a system by which to interpret the hands, the way that you counsel and coach, in other words, your verbal vocabulary, your delivery, and your intuition. And that is a very nice succinct aspect as well of what there is to learn in hand reading. But let's break it down a little bit more deeply, starting with the element earth. The element earth represents and is symbolic of everything in hand reading that is structured. This includes learning a little bit about the history of how to read hands or how people have read hands through the ages. It has to do with how you keep your records. It has to do with your ethical criteria in terms of really being respectful and all the various ethical things we need to learn about being a good hand reader, being such an intimate dialogue therapy. Earth is about the building blocks of how we read hands. It's that which is in the foundation. It's everything structured, as I mentioned. It has to do with commitment to your studies of the element system, the principles of the elements, the vocabulary that goes with the elements, as well as to the astrological principles which go with the old traditional palmistry, which we cannot extricate from the 5-element system. We certainly do draw on the best of those old knowledge, those old ways. We're talking here about chiromorphognomy in the earth level, which has to do with the actual shape and structure of the hand and the ability to identify the various formations. We're looking also at being very comfortable with touch, being an earth energy aspect of hand reading, reaching out to touch another person. Some hand readers really struggle with that. Then, of course, the actual action of printing hands, the physical taking hold of another person's hands, applying the ink to the skin, taking the palm print. There's something earthy about that. It's like grounding it down. It's creating what we call in this particular system a sacred document. It's going to way outlast their lives. And so let's just say on the earth level or in the earth realm of hand reading, we're covering everything that has to do with the more scientific aspects of hand reading that is definable, tangible, let's say dependable. Whereas earth was represented by an orange square, water is represented by a blue circle. And the water flow in the hand reading experience has to do with everything nurturing, everything empathic, all the emotional rapport that you bring to the reading. It's your sensitivity, your caring, your love. It's to do with being flexible, much like water in nature is flexible. It's to do with, when I say it, I'm talking about the water, let's say, influences in a hand reading process, to do with the word forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself for when you err, and forgiveness of your client for when they're acting out in ways that are not to your taste. What I like to think of as bringing texture to the hand reading experience, not only for your client but also for yourself, is a deep understanding of human emotion. This really does enrich, it brings a kind of a richness to the texture of the experience. Into the area of fire, represented by a triangle, a red triangle. Fire is all about energy, it's about enthusiasm, it's vitality, it's passion, it's your warmth to attract your clientele. It's all about courage too, which is a fire principle. Courage to speak your truth, courage to deal with all sorts of different types of people from all walks of life, and very much to do with the attempt that we offer to illuminate, to really enlighten, enlighten, to bring the brightness into people's lives, that you could say as a reader is very much governed by the fire energy, which is, let's say, brings color to the craft. Moving now onto the air area, let's call it, of the hand reading experience, it has to do with what I call the design. It's how we design the experience for the client. And the way we do that is with communication. Everything to do with vocabulary. The words are our, as the great saying goes, it's a quote, the tools of our trade and the medicine of our profession. And we master our words, in other words, we have the gift of the gab, and so as to gain a deeper rapport with people. And that would be governed by air, so that's an area to cultivate and develop in hand reading. Also being very observant, using our eyes. We have to be observant as hand readers to be able to perceive visually, to conceptualize, to analyze, to investigate, to research, of course, being very much governed by air, the research area, having what we like to think of as an air principle, which is detachment, especially your detached compassion, which filters a little bit into the chi area, because true detached compassion is a highly evolved spiritual quality, but it's that detachment that has some overlay of the air element influence in it. Remembering, having a good memory about things, that also could be considered to fall under the category of what there is to learn in the air area of hand reading. And really what we're looking at here is everything theoretical, and being perceptive, really, being able to weave it all together, to bring the design, to design it all together. Whereas I showed the air element as a cup and represented in green, we have here in this image the chi element, the fifth element, as a teardrop represented in purple. And chi really governs all areas, the subtle areas specifically, of the hand reading craft. It pervades in a way that is completely inextricable. It is everything to do with that which is intangible. We're talking about intuitive perception, psychic ability, channeling, divination, the unknown, the mysterious. The question also here under the chi area is about people's spiritual lives, and bringing them comfort spiritually, that in other hand reading systems there's little, if any, emphasis directly, that is, on this particular aspect of human experience. Sometimes also in the old systems, the word we used was grammeomancy or chiromancy. Grammeomancy was to do with the lines, grammeo linking to do with what was written in the lines, and the mancy being to do with the divinatory aspect, comes from the old Latin. And ditto with chiromancy, chiro meaning hand, and mancy being auguring or prophesying or seeing the future in some way. So these aspects, this very sensitive, intuitive perception side of hand reading, is everything that's governed under the chi realm. And for budding hand readers, I truly encourage you to cultivate that in yourself, to invest in that in yourself, because those knowings, those understandings, those senses that you as a reader have are often more accurate than any belief or any learned particular meaning that you might see or have been taught in a hand. I personally sometimes look at a hand and there's none of those exact markings that I've learned about, and yet the meaning that is would be associated with that marking, if it was there, streams through me and it applies very accurately to the person. And there's no way of really understanding this. It's a great big mystery. But briefly then, this is just describing the earth being the structure, the water, and I call it the loom of the weaving, the water being the texture, the fire bringing the color, the air bringing the design, and the chi bringing the thread that weaves it all together. Next week I will have a new video for you. I think I'm going to move into the shapes of the hands next. And please like, subscribe, and share. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.